Hello and welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today I'm going to do something I don't know if I've really done this before. I'm going to put a spotlight on a relatively small indie perfume house. It's kind of well known in perfume circles. They're based in the US. This is Olympic Orchids. Now the owner slash perfumer for Olympic Orchids is Dr. Ellen Covey, and probably the most notable perfume that we, as in fragrance enthusiasts, might have heard of is the original zoologist bat. So I late last year bought some samples from Olympic Orchids, particularly because I wanted to smell Night Flyer, which I'll talk about a little bit later on, is basically the same as the original zoologist bat. And I'd also heard good things about a couple of other fragrances. Now, Olympic Orchids has released about 40 perfumes, and most of them are on the website. So I ordered 6 samples as a custom discovery set, which you can do on the website. I'll link it in the description. And I thought I'd make a video rather than do individual reviews of each of these fragrances. I'll talk about my experience with these 6 samples, and I'm going to talk about my favorites at the start, at the beginning of the video, and basically the last ones I'll talk about were the ones I liked a little bit less. In one case, not very much at all. Let's get started. My favorite from the 6 that I ordered does happen to be Night Flyer. Now, I did smell Zoologist Bat, the original, a few years ago, and I remember enjoying it a lot. And at that time, it was weird because I was I hadn't smelled as much as I have smelled now. It just seemed really unusual to me, very avant-garde, very artistic, recreating a sense more, not so much about the animal that it was named after itself, but to me it smelled more like the environment you're likely to smell to find a bat. And that is a cool, dank atmosphere of a cave, of a big cave. I don't know why I think of a big cavernous thing, but I don't feel any kind of sense of a small space when I smell this. What I do smell is not even necessarily wet earth. It's wet stone more than anything else. It's a really lovely damp accord, but what makes it interesting is the fact that it's sweetened by, I get mainly an indeterminate sort of fruity smell. I know that banana is listed as an individual note. It's not, to my nose, it's not. I can't identify just banana. There is an overall sense of fruitiness, and not any kind of rotting fruitiness either. It's actually very pleasant without becoming too fruity sweet. So I really just enjoy smelling this on me. It tends to work on my skin, and to me it's not really like a kind of experimental smell. It's something that I find totally wearable. I can't imagine anyone would smell this on me and find it offensive or too challenging. In fact, I would expect people smelling this would find this a really interesting smell. Ellen Covey did do the original formula, and she's re-released this as Night Flyer, and it is also a lot more affordable than what you would have got it in the zoologist packaging as well. So Night Flyer is my favorite of the 6 that I ordered. So the next one I want to talk about is one called Dev number 2, or subtitled The Main Act. And there's, I believe, 4 in this series. You can check them out on the website. But this was my favorite, and I chose this purely based on the note pyramid. And I wasn't disappointed because mainly what I smell are warm spices, smoking. There's definitely this smokiness there. I guess it's an incense note, although I can't tell what that is. But it's this combined smokiness and spice, mainly cinnamon to me, on this just really thick, thick glutinous labdanum. And it's actually, if you sniff this quite close up, like if you take a big inhale, it can actually be quite almost making me sneeze when I did it earlier on. But wearing it on the skin, this wears very linear. There is just this kind of warmth, heat, underlying, just a little bit of carnal accord in here. It feels a little bit subversive, and this is the type of thing I love. I would love on my skin for this to have a bit more development, but if you're into smokiness and labdanum in particular with some warm spices, definitely check out Dev 2. All right, so the next two were kind of tied for me in terms of, whether I liked one more than the other. But I'm going to go with Olympic Orchids' version of a Bay Rum. Now, if you want to see a really good a video about Bay Rum, I'm going to link to my friend Ryan from Bonfire of the Vanities. He did a video about Bay Rum perfumes. And I'll link that in the description. But this one here, I really like. I need to give you a warning, it is very, very clove forward. Then a little bit of the bay laurel comes through, and booziness is kind of an afterthought in terms of this particular formulation. But because I really love clove, and in this case, all its fruity glory, which is what I get a lot from clove here. I really enjoy wearing this, and this sticks around all day on me. So I imagine that compared to a lot of other Bay Rum colognes or aftershaves, this is probably one of the stronger ones that you might try, but you do need to like clove. So that's Bay Rum from Olympic Orchids. And the one that I tied with the Bay Rum, this one here is called Woodcut. And I immediately smell being, as opposed to Nightflyer, being in a small enclosed space, that it's like walking into a hoarder's attic that is full of antique dark wood furniture, where maybe that wood polish or varnish has kind of faded away over the years. There is also the very slightest hint of sweetness in this wood. It's like a wood that's infused sweetness from somewhere. Now I know that on the official notes list there is caramel listed as a note. I don't actually smell anything that I recognize as caramel, but there is definitely a sweetness, which I guess might be coming from that accord. But to me, this is all dark, dusty wood. Think empty oak barrels that have been empty for years and years. Maybe at one time did have something like there was a sweet liqueur or spirit in there. But there is also this dustiness about this wood that gives me that feeling of being in a closed, confined space. But I don't know if I can think of a more woody perfume than Woodcut. The only thing, excuse me, the only thing that deters me from thinking that this is something I want to own is that this, as opposed to Nightflyer and Dev 2 and a little bit Bay Rum, is a bit it's a bit of a, well, it's a bit of a one-note wonder, basically. This is all you get. And the times that I've worn this as my scent of the day, I've just found it a little bit monotonous after a while. So that's Woodcut. Okay, I'm getting down to my second last and my second least favorite from the 6 that I purchased from Olympic Orchids. This one here is, I bought because it got talked about a lot. I think this one was nominated for an Art and Olfaction Award a while ago, but I could be wrong. But it does get talked about. This is Blackbird. This has a blackberry note. See, the problem with this and me is that things like blackberry, blackcurrant, cassie, I, for some reason, am not a fan, doesn't work on my skin, or I don't like how it smells. Now, this combined with this sort of green coniferous accord that it sits on, it just doesn't work for me. Now, if you're a fan of this kind of dark berry and this like balsamic green woodiness that it sits on, you might love this. So in this case, it's not that I think this is a bad perfume. It's just a couple of accords together that just simply don't work on my skin. And so from this group of samples that I bought, this is my second least favorite. Okay, so we get to my least favorite of the 6, and the funny thing is about this one is when I was choosing my samples, I saw this, and this was a perfect case where on paper, the note pyramid seemed like it might be something that really unique and something that I would love. And unfortunately for me, it's something that like, I don't want to say hate, but I actively dislike. In fact, I sprayed the last few times I actually tried to wear this and test it on, I did have to end up scrubbing it off. Salamanca is inspired by a Spanish town, midsummer, clay, leather, hay, vetiver, immortelle. So I looked at these notes and I thought, wow, that sounds really, really interesting. And it opens up in a promising manner. I totally get this clay oven, and it's kind of like right on the periphery of my scent memory. But the reason I get clay oven is because it immediately, when I smell the opening, it reminds me of something that I remember from my childhood, maybe my grandparents cooking something in a clay oven. They definitely had like a wood brick clay cement oven in their backyard. And I get that, but then unfortunately for me, what happens is this leather accord takes over, and it's definitely very quinoline-based leather accord, and this is a raw ingredient that for me and my nose just, I'm very sensitive to. If it's overused, it just does not work out for my brain and my skin. And it takes over, like I lose any of the clay, I can't smell vetiver, I can't smell any of the immortelle, and it just turns into this hot mess. And really all it reminds me of then is some dirty leather apron that's been, put through the mud on the street, and it's just something I do not want to smell. So that's Salamanca. So be warned if you end up getting a sample of that. But otherwise, there's enough in this 6 samples from Olympic Orchids that would make me think that amongst the 40 odd perfumes that have been released, there are other ones that I would like to try. Definitely Night Flyer is probably going to go down as a masterpiece for Alan Covey. So I'd like to hear your thoughts if you've tried other Olympic Orchids perfumes outside of the 6 or even from the 6 here, and what your experiences were with them. And I hope you found that useful, and definitely check out the website. Very, very reasonably priced as well, especially this custom discovery set that you can order. And I will see you all very soon. Bye.